Hello everyone and welcome to the Wolfszeit channel. Today with a very special topic, I mean always special. The Shinarian Civilization. There's a lot of lore behind the Shinarians, and currently in Mortal Online 2 there's a dungeon, the Shinarian Labyrinth, and in this video we will take a deep dive into the Shinarian Civilization. So it's the most mysterious civilization in all of Nave. It is a culture so advanced, so influential, that echoes of their architecture, symbols, language still linger around for thousands of years after their disappearance. So according to the data we have, it was a highly advanced southern civilization on Asterra. And Asterra was the original massive supercontinent of Mortal Online, the world of Nave, before it was shattered into pieces. It existed long before the modern continents like Myrland, Sidoia, Huérgar and all the other. And Asterra was a single unified landmass, so it's similar to our Earth. And large parts of that continent sank into the ocean forever. And the Shinarians occupied the southern part of that supercontinent. And their territory included parts what's later known as Myrland. This is why we have the Shinarian Labyrinth in the jungle. It's over 1,000 years old, and they controlled all of the pre-sunken Sidoia. It is comparable to a civilization in Sidoia that is called the Sith Pari. They were also very advanced, they both suffered a catastrophic collapse, and they both left behind a lot of unanswered questions. But the Sidoians, we know, were the living evidence of Shinarian slavery. So the Shinarian civilization kept a lot of slave races. Not just slaves, slave races. And the Sidoians are the clearest example of that. And the survival of the Sidoians tell us something. The slaves outlived the masters, because there are still Sidoians left in the world of Nave. But then it comes how it comes always. The Tindremic Empire arrives and enslaves all the Sidoians and get their tech, their knowledge, their magic, and using it for the empire. And making a revolution every 100 years, because why not? It's the Tindremic Empire. If you want to know more about the Tindremic Empire or more about the lore of Mortal Online 2, there's a whole playlist link down in the description. But now to the question, why did the Shinarian civilization die out? What happened? So the big continent Asterra sank into the sea, and much of the Shinarian homeland was simply erased out of the equation. So structures, records, monuments vanished beneath the waves, and only the Sidoian islands remained above water. So the fate of the Shinarian people is unknown. They perished after this catastrophic event. Some survived, but were too few to maintain their identity or to maintain their race. They partly migrated and integrated with other cultures, so they evolved and transformed. Some even say that the immense power the Sidoians had in form of tech, magic, knowledge came from very few Shinarians that integrated into the Sidoians. But there are a lot of myths and misconceptions about their fate, because the Tindremic Empire likes to burn all the books all the time on their seek of power. But we have a few theories, because they can't burn everything. So the first theory, high-ranked noblemen or biologists say they transformed into Sators, because Sators having enough brain capacity to use tools and building camps and stuff like that, and Sator's tribes often occupy Shinarian ruins and protect them. But some are saying that the Tindrem biologists are just idiots and that this is just a theory. The second one is a little bit more likely, because there are Tindrems that claiming they have Shinarian blood. So some Tindrems claim to be the direct descendants from the Shinarian civilization. These claims are often considered political or culturally motivated. But one part of that might be true. The old Tindremic resembles the written language of Shinarian documents. So the linguistic similarity is huge. This means, by the way, cultural inheritance could be true. Survivors could be integrated over a lot of generations. And with the enslavery of the Sidoians, that the Tindremic Empire came and enslaved them all and stuff like that, and they integrated into the Sidoians, and then they maybe integrated into the Tindrems. So there is the possibility that some Tindrems having the ancient bloodline of Shinarian. So it could be true that at the early stages of Tindrem they had an influence on the Tindremic society, because they were so advanced. And the Tindremic Empire were so advanced in its first stages that they really ruled the world. The interesting thing about the Shinarians and the Tindrems is that some architecture is very similar. So the Shinarian civilization used a lot of geometric shapes, geometric patterns, and also floral motifs. This is a Shinarian temple wall pillar, by the way. So they may have viewed the civilization or even Nave itself as a garden. Their focus was also on order, cultivation, symmetry, and harmony in their design, in their architecture. So modern Sidoians still show the same obsession with geometric forms that not even the Ogmirs, not even the Tindrems can do. So there were Shinarian temples. Here you can see a Shinarian temple hub chamber from Mortal Online 1. and on the walls are garden symbols and many more depictions of nature or flora and fauna based symbols. What really stood out is the extreme precision in geometric design. I mean, just look at that ceiling. Often repeating shapes, but it's implied with perfection and symmetry. And what also stood out a lot is the golden statue of an unknown creature or entity that no one knows. We don't know if it's a religious symbol, a cultural symbol, a guardian figure, a mythological thing. But what we know is that they used gold. They used real gold to do that. And every Ogmir is like, hey, wait a minute. We're also using gold for everything and we're also building stuff like that. Maybe the Ogmirs are also cultural influenced by the Shinarians. I don't know. But they also have guardian depictions in their temples, and some Tindremic explorers claimed deep within these ruins, wall-mounted sculptures depicted an animated guardian. But this was not a confirmed fact. But the funny thing I can tell you here, I can confirm that. Because I fought against that thing in Mortal Online 1 and it's huge. And it's out of stone, so it can take a lot of hits. Yeah, the Shinarians made a lot of these guardians to protect their temples, to protect everything that is very precious to them, even when it was 1000 years ago. But there were not only Shinarian symbols on the walls, there were also symbols from Huérgars. No shit. And this raises the grounded question. Did Huérgars came into contact with the Shinarians? Did the symbol originate from the Shinarians? Or is it just Huérgars that added that to that? Or there was already a cultural exchange between Shinarians and Huérgars? We don't know, but a lot of Huérgars adopted Shinarian symbols. But these are all questions we don't know, at least yet. So let's look into the social structure the Shinarians had. Maybe we can see something there. So as I've said earlier, the Shinarians kept slaves, slave races. We know that at least one slave race existed, the Sidoians. They were complete slaves to the Shinarians. There was a strong division between ruling class and labor class. And nearly all large-scale architectural projects were built by slaves. For some labyrinths, they even were killed after that they couldn't expose the right way through the labyrinths. The biggest question is, where the Shinarians a single race or a race itself? This is unclear. The biologists of Tindrem don't know that. There is the possibility that it's a distant race. It's also the possibility to be a multi-racial civilization. The problem is there's no depiction of a Shinarian anywhere. Not even an emperor, a god, a king or whatever. There's no physical appearance of a Shinarian. We don't know how a Shinarian looks like. But the interesting thing is the legacy of the Shinarians still remains in Myrland. There are ruins across the southern Myrland everywhere, especially in the jungle, also some temples. And we know that the Sidoian culture were influenced heavily by them. And we know that there's a possible influence on the Tindremic language, because the old Tindremic language resembles Shinarian script. But they also have shared symbols with the Huérgars. And the architecture themes are mirrored in modern Sidoian designs. So there is a lot of mystery and open questions about the Shinarians. Maybe you have also a nice theory about that, because I have so many open questions. Like, is there at least one Shinarian left? Or maybe is there a small cult, a small group that is still there and still preserving their bloodline? Why do satyrs occupy all those ruins? What is this golden entity? Is this a god to them? Is this... I don't know. What does the Huérgars have to do with all of that? And was Shinarian culture the root of later Sidoian or Tindremic traditions? So if you have some theories, would be nice if you can drop them in the comments. So if you found this interesting, then please comment below and leave a like and subscribe, would be so nice. And please share this video with your guildmates to spread the Mortal Online 2 lore. And thanks for watching. So special thanks to all of these supporters, of course. Carmel, Lucario, Mr. Minerva, Dem Tired, Ronus, Patenax, Cologne Bulldog, and all the others, of course. And never forget to make Shinarian Civilization hard. I mean party hard. See you all next time. Goodbye.